Hello and welcome to the Ross Cloud Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ross Sr. And this platform was created to motivate and to inspire in hopes that you will become a better you. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that's listening all over the world. Thank you guys for tuning in and supporting the Ross Cloud Podcast. Listen, we have a very, very special guest with us here on today. I'm super excited. I'm elated to have him here today. He is no stranger to the Ross Cloud Podcast. If you haven't had the opportunity, make sure you check out our audio version of the podcast, and you can hear Mr. Rashaad Johnson as he joins myself and Miss Candi T. Jeter, who's with us, also our host with the Moses. Hey, man, thank you guys.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for the welcome invitation back, man.
Come on, man.
I appreciate
you family now.
Yeah,
it's a done deal.
Yeah, one of your home spots.
Yeah, exactly. It's a done deal. So listen, if you want to know more about Rashaad, again, make sure you check us out on Acast at shows.acast, Ross Cloud Podcast. You can go over and check out that interview with us as we have a great conversation with Rashaad. And he talks about his books. He's authored 2 books. He's penned 2 books. And listen, we're gonna jump right into it. But before we do that, Rashaad, tell the folks about your 2 books that you've authored, that you penned.
So my 2 books. The first one was Caged Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Caged Dream was the book I wrote when I was just really feeling caged in corporate America. You know, I felt like there's something so much more that I have to do with my life other than just work and make money. And so I wrote the first book. That was like my intro into entrepreneurship, really launching the business. Then the second book I just wrote, Identical Contradiction. This one I really dig into mindset, the mindset of black people in America, the mindset of feeling like you have to code switch in order to be successful. So I tell people, don't code switch.
Yeah.
Stop it. Don't do it anymore. Like, be you. Be authentically you. And
Absolutely.
I go into why it's so important to do that in the book.
I love it. And listen, so, man, make sure y'all go out and get those 2 books. They can get them on Amazon. You got a website, too, though, don't you?
Yeah, so you can go straight to my website. It's RashaadJohnson.com.
I love it. Authentically you.
Absolutely.
Hey, bro, I'm digging the orange brim. I'm digging the orange brim.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we love the orange.
We love it, don't we?
Thank you.
And while we're talking about books, we have our very own our co-host here, Miss Candi T. Jeter, who also has penned 2 books as well. If you would, Candi, tell the folks about the 2 books that you penned. Tell them a little bit about it and give the folks an introduction about those 2 books that you've penned.
Well, the first book was 25 Thoughts About Your Destiny. It was a book I wrote and I published it in 2007, but I spent some time writing it. It started out like a journal. It was lessons that I had been learning from the time I started, really getting into life, love, and living. And so those were the 25 lessons that I had learned. And they have prayers, they have verses, they have, you can write in it, note sections and meditations and things like that. So it's a really good comprehensive book. The second one is How to Let Go Even When It Seems Impossible.
Yeah.
And it just goes into really letting go. A lot of times we think letting go means losing, but letting go actually means providing space for that which you need in order to not just survive but thrive. And a lot of times we hang on to things and we don't know that we're hanging on to things, and then when we hit brick walls we are so used to things. There was this man who brought up a saying where somebody asked this fisherman asked a fish, how's the water?
Wow.
And the fish said, what water? Because the fish is in water, it doesn't even realize that there is water. And I think that is what we get so used to in life. And so when I wrote Letting Go, it was about really paying attention to what's blocking you and being able to let it go, even when it seems impossible.
Oh, I love it.
And you can find that book at IamCandyTJ at .com, but I mean Candi T. Jeter at .com, but it's Candi with an I. A lot of people spell it with a Y, so it's CANDI Jeter.
Gotcha. Appreciate you for plugging both of you guys. Thank you for plugging both of your books, man. That's so very, very important because we got Black excellence right here on the Ross Cloud Podcast. And I'm so glad, again, to have you back again, Rashaad. And Candi, as always, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you be a part of this team and what we're trying to build and what we're trying to do. And so, listen, we're not going to hold you guys up anymore. I just wanted to make sure that we gave a thorough introduction of these great folks here. But we got a great topic, and, Rashaad proposed this topic, and I think it's an awesome topic because as we were walking in, a lot of times we do stuff off cuff because I really didn't have anything in mind, but because of the dynamics of this group, we're able to really build and dive into these conversations, and doing things spontaneous is always awesome. It is. Something about that spontaneous moment that makes it so very authentic. It's not planned. It's nothing prepared. We just straight dive right into it. Mm-hmm. And so the conversation that we were able to talk about, what we're going to talk about is the mindset of success. The mindset of success. And when this was posed, I just automatically pulled my computer up like we always do. And I said, well, let's go even deeper. So we're going to go deeper, but it had these 4 types of mindset. So here's the 4 types of mindsets. And then we're going to go ahead and open up with this thing. And Candi, since you the ladies first, we're going to let you go first. And then we'll go over to Rashaad, and we'll just let this thing just flow freely as the universe has for us to do, all right? So here we go. Growth mindset, positive mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, and challenge mindset. Those are the 4 types of mindset when we think about the mindset to have whenever you want to be successful. The mindset of success. That's something to really ponder on and think about. What's your thoughts, Candi, as we go ahead and open up with this?
I thought you were going to go through them and give me a little idea. Now I'm on the spot.
Well, I tell you what,
it's okay.
I'll read this. Let me read this, and then maybe it'll prick your conscience and your mind even the more. Let me read this to you, okay? Why mindset is the key to success. So here's what it reads. And listen, if you want to go over and get a lot of this information, you can go to coursecorrectioncoaching.com. So I'm going to read this to you guys right now. Cultivating a growth mindset will help you turn failure and even fear into fuel so that you take courageous actions and make better decisions for yourself moving forward. A strong mindset means more awareness, a self and others and an increase in your emotional intelligence. And I know both of y'all, yes, sir. There you go.
When I think about success, I always think about childhood because it was in childhood that I felt the most successful, right? Yeah. It wasn't until I started getting into like the 4th or 5th grade where I started feeling very unsuccessful because that's the time where you start really becoming aware of being graded and tested and things like that. I know before that time, we were free, to learn freely. And to say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And, you kind of just have this unawareness that doesn't block anything. And you don't think about it.
Sure.
And you start just catching on to stuff until somebody says, that's wrong. That's not how you do that. And then the pressure is on your parents that you perform.
Yeah.
And then you feel pressure from your teachers. You feel pressure from your parents because the teachers have certain quotas that they need to meet because they're being reviewed, and your parents feel like you reflect them. Yeah. And it's time to do homework. And now I have no idea what I'm doing, whereas I used to like math, I used to like science. Now I don't like any of it, right?
Right.
And so I think a success mindset starts there. And a lot of the times we don't cultivate it as parents in our children. We want them to be successful, but then we fall prey to this judgment system of what success really is.
Sure.
And I'm just going to say, when I think about success, I think about my mindset up until I was in the second grade.
You know, that's that's very interesting you say that, because kids really, if you ask a group of kids and a group of adults, ask a group of adults what they want to do with their life. Yeah. It's very watered down versus what that group of kids are going to say. Kids are going to say, I want to be the president, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a singer and an astronaut and a teacher. Like, kids have this amazing ability to really believe they can do whatever they want to do, which is true. They actually can. And it comes along, and the world and people and parents and teachers we should definitely cultivate that. But sometimes we hurt that mindset because we tell them stupid stuff like, well, you can't do all of that. Why? Just because you don't know nobody that's done all of it, don't tell that baby they can't. They can do whatever they want. Like,
do whatever they want.
Allow them to believe they can do whatever they want. So I think you're right. Like, that mindset starts as a child, and it begins to be cultivated. Like, I know as a kid, I thought I could do anything. I thought I could fly. Yeah. I never was able to, but I really believed I could fly. Like, I did. I was just like, I just haven't figured it out yet. Yeah. One day I'm going to get it. So it starts as a kid. It does.
I think that's so freaking amazing that you guys, that you started off with that. Because now when I think back, you're making me think back to when I was younger. You know, I had this thing where I wanted to be an astronomer when I was a kid, right? And I oftentimes ask myself, well, why didn't I pursue it? You know, like, why didn't I actually believe that and take it even further? And to your point, it was like, well, why wasn't it cultivated? You know, I remember asking for a telescope. But it could have been that the telescope was just too expensive for my mom to afford. So we run into that, into that barrier too. But now when I look at my life now, I have this thing where there's this geek side to me, and then there's cool side, but then there's this geek side to me that's still intrigued about what's out there in the universe. So it's still there, even though I'm not doing it. But I'm still intrigued with these galaxies and the planets and things of that nature. I can watch it for hours. A lot of people don't know that about me. Now, Tanya does, of course, in my family, but I always wanted to be an astronomer. Yeah. So I wonder why we don't do that, why we don't cultivate those things that intrigue our kids. And we say, boy, go sit down somewhere. Wow. Ain't nobody going, to your point, go sit down. Why do we do that? Is it because of finances?
I think finances is a part, but I think the older we get, we stop doing what we really want to do because of fear. Ooh. We're afraid that we may not be able to do it, or we may not be able to figure it out, or we may not. I think it's fear. It's fear of the unknown. We don't want to fail. People are afraid of failing.
That's true.
Like, I used to be really afraid of failing, and so my fear of failure sometimes stopped me from success because I didn't want to fail. So I didn't want to try something and not be good at it. I didn't want to try something and not be successful. So I think it's that fear. I think fear hinders a lot of us.
Yeah. I think what happened with me was, I'll be honest with you, when I saw the test that they go through as astronomers and being an astronaut, I was like, I don't think so.
Definitely.
I don't think I want to get on that machine and be turned around at so many knots and watching those cats fall out in, mid, you fail the test if you faint during that test. So to your point, absolutely, that fear. But what if you just did it? What if you just did it right in the moment? Oftentimes I think about when I went to the military, I was scared as hell to jump out of a helicopter. But in that moment that they told me to jump, when it was my turn to jump, is something about how it's almost like you black out. You go into this whole other space, this whole other place in your mind. And the moment that I jumped, the fear went away. This had to be probably the most amazing. That's where my fear left when I joined the military, because I didn't think I could do it. But then when I went, and then when I took it even further and said, hey, I'm going to get in this helicopter and I'm going to jump out of this helicopter. I've never done that before. So when I actually did it, the tunnel vision that you go through, I swear, it was, and then once I did it and I hit the ground, I was ready to do it again. So to your point, to both of you guys' point, sometimes we just have to, we hear it being said, jump out in the deep.
Yeah.
Just do it. You never know what's going to happen. Just get out there and just freaking do it. It's easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Go
Let
ahead.
me tell you, you reminded me of something.
Yeah.
So we're talking about what you're saying, jumping, and you talking about childhood. I will never forget. I haven't thought about this, I think, in probably a couple of years. I was taking swimming lessons at the Y here in Greensboro, taking swimming lessons. And I remember we had got to the place where, now I knew how to swim, but I was still a little afraid of the deep end.
Sure.
And the instructor knew I knew how to swim, but I was still afraid of the deep end. So it's like, well, today we're jumping off the high dive. Everybody's jumping off the high dive. You're going to jump off and swim to the side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, no, I've never jumped off the high dive before.
Right on.
But for me, let me tell you what took over for me was ego. Because I saw all my other friends jumping. I was like, oh, I'm not about to be the only one scared not doing it.
Yeah.
But I remember I was so scared, and to your point, the moment I jumped and hit in the water and swam to the side, I was like, oh, I'm not scared of that anymore.
Right.
Like sometimes it's action that cures fear.
That's right.
And so you're like, I had that same experience in a different setting, but that cured me of the fear. From then on, I'll jump off of whatever into water.
I think that's so absolutely wonderful what you just said and what I said. And I'm sure you have some things that you like to say to continue to build off of this, Candi. But listen, to you guys out there that are listening right now at this moment, put down in the chat, has there ever been a moment in your life where fear was there and you didn't jump, or there was fear that was there and you jumped and you were successful? So just put something in the chat room and engage us as we engage you guys. Go ahead, Candi. Go ahead, girl. I know you got something.
Yeah, mine was always around math. Very fearful because
I still don't like it, but go ahead.
because when it was time for homework, my dad was like very smart, so my mom would always make him teach us how to do our homework and stuff.
Sure.
Work with us on our homework. And I mean, he was a little aggressive,
Yes, I'm with you.
And I just got to a point where I could not think clearly when it came to it, like remembering my steps and stuff. So that was actually what made me decide to just avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
So, but I was always a very curious person, and I've always been into astronomy as well.
Okay.
I used to go to the planetarium and just lay out and look at
Got
all
you.
the stars.
Yeah,
And stuff like
yeah.
that, and read books and stuff, not knowing that was my intro to astrology.
Right.
In a lot of ways. And so, I avoided math all the way through, even through college and everything.
Right.
Until I got to I took statistics like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
And then I still couldn't get it. It was just a block there, speaking of success. And so, when I got ready to do my dissertation and I had to do my research, I decided I was going to do mixed methods research, and I had to use the statistical software.
What is mixed method? I don't even know what that is. So could you kind of tell me what that is?
It's just like empirical research. I was gonna observe.
Okay.
And I was also going to do some ethnography kind of stuff. My research was around the Todd Anthony Bell program for black males at Ohio State University, and the recidivism. They have a 98%
really
graduation rate among black males.
That's beautiful.
And so I was doing, since I was just telling Rashaad, since I have a son, I do everything around black males.
Sure.
And I was doing higher ed administration, and my research was on the recidivism of black males and what it takes, and it was one of the most successful programs. And so I had to use this statistical software.
Sure.
And even though you're using software and it does all the calculations, you still have to know the framework of statistics in order to get your stuff done.
Absolutely.
Well, because I was interested in what I was doing, I was just plugging in stuff and just doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did I have to take statistics 3 times in order to get like a C-? And here I am just doing it.
Yeah.
And then when it came to astrology, All of the, like, if you get into astrology, you have a lot of males that are like higher up in astrology. A lot of males, a lot of white males. It's highly mathematical.
Sure.
And you have to be able to draw out your own charts if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
But you have to know that each pi is 29 degrees.
Sure.
And if you're drawing up a chart, you got to know these things. So one of my, I knew astrology so well, but I didn't know how to calculate certain things, just off the cuff.
Sure.
And he said, come on, Candi, we getting ready to calculate some charts. And he was so excited.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God. He's going to think I am dumb as hell because I have no idea how to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I started doing it. And I was just really pausing. He was like, what is wrong with you?
Sure.
I was like, am I doing this right? He said, yeah, you're doing great. Keep going. And
Yeah.
he was just talking. It was confidence.
Sure.
It was confidence. It wasn't that I didn't know it. I was not confident.
Yes.
So now we have to understand that success is not about knowledge as much as it is about confidence.
Yeah.
I did not have the confidence. And I broke it when one of my math professors, only about 5 years ago,
Sure.
I failed a math test
Wow.
because I told Taylor, we're going to take math together
Yeah.
and I'm going to show you how you can do it.
Sure.
I didn't do well. My professor said, she quit. My professor said, Candi, get with me, and we're going to go, and you're going to take this test in front of me.
Yeah.
I said, okay. All right. I'm sweating just thinking about
Sure,
it. Right?
sure.
And so he sat there and he watched me. And as I was doing it,
Yeah.
I was looking at him like a little girl. I was looking at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this right? He said, you're doing it exactly right.
Wow.
He was like, keep
Wow.
going. Why
Yeah.
are you stopping?
Yeah.
So I math was my thing that
Yeah.
I had to understand. Now I get it.
Yeah. That
You
sounds
said something very important.
She did.
Confidence.
confidence.
I believe mindset, you're right, success mindset is all about confidence. So this is how bluntly honest I am with me.
Yeah.
I know I don't have the success that I want because my mindset isn't there yet. Period. That's it. It's not because of opportunities. It's not because of education. It's not because of it's my mindset isn't where it needs to be yet.
Wow.
That's why I don't have the success that I really want yet.
Come on, man.
And I think when you adopt that understanding, that's the basis for you becoming successful. Because people could give excuses. Well, I didn't have this and I didn't have this. And I always tell myself, there are people that had less than me that are more successful than I am.
Yeah.
There are people that had so much more than me that are less successful than I am.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with anything other than the confidence of the mindset. Do you believe you can do this?
Do you believe you can do it?
Perfect example, and it's not a whole bunch of them because they don't have this mindset.
Yeah.
You all remember, I'm sure you all remember, it's going to date me, but back in the 90s, there was this player on the Charlotte Hornets, Muggsy Bogues, who was 5'3",
Yeah.
playing professional ball, and played for a while in the NBA, and was good.
Very good.
Because of his mindset. He didn't have the physical, there was no college on earth that saw his measurements and was like, yeah, let's take a chance on him. No, he had to force his way into that.
Absolutely.
And so it's all about that mindset.
Yeah.
Because if you believe you can, Confucius, this quote from Confucius I heard a long time ago, and I'm like, when I get this, I got it.
Yeah.
He says, he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't are both usually right.
Yeah.
And I believe that with everything in me. If you believe you can do it, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't.
Yeah. I'm going to go even further with that. Spud Webb was another one. Played for the Hawks. Another one that if you're looking with the physical part of it, you're like, there's no way. And he won the dunk contest.
Won a dunk contest.
There's no way. Like, there's no way that you can. His physical attributes alone says, his height alone says, there's no way that he's going to dunk that ball.
No. And I believe
Spud
Webb was about like, what, 5'6"?
5'6".
Yeah.
He probably was shorter than me.
Yeah.
So that's when the desire meets confidence?
I like that.
That's a good equation.
That
there.
is a good equation.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right about that. I was going to say, have you ever been doing something in secret and was afraid to do it publicly?
Yes.
And you were
Definitely.
awesome at it in secret.
Yes.
Like, man, you can walk the dog, right?
Yes.
Right? So to both of you guys' point, we just have to do it. You just have to jump out there and do it. Or have you been doing something for so long and question, why in the hell am I not doing this professionally?
Or doing,
Or actually, you're already doing it.
Doing it and don't even realize
And
it's
don't
a big
realize you're
deal.
doing it.
And people are like, why are you not charging for this? Or why
Right.
Exactly.
take yourself for granted?
Listen, I can recall, like, even with this and what I'm doing, the more I thought about it and the more once I jumped into it, this is who I am. If the microphones were off, if anybody that really knows me, this is absolutely who I am.
It is.
At its very core, without a microphone. I'm this way with people all the time. Laugh and talk. Now, I probably would say a few more things, but I try to keep it very professional and keep it tact for the sake of honoring my family. You know what I'm saying? And who my family is. I try to keep it straight. But one day, I might have to let it all
This
hang
is
out.
the day.
I say do it
This
now.
is the day.
I say right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Like, I was just thinking about that as we were talking. Like, and sometimes you're already doing it. You know, sometimes you're already operating in whatever it is that you're doing, but you're just not doing it professionally. And so that goes back to you. I'd say you not knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Knowing who you are.
Who you are.
Knowledge of self is so important. Most people don't know who they are. People, and I will say this, I'm still finding out who I am. I'm still learning who I am. Like, I haven't got there 100%.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty confident. I know
Absolutely.
most of who I am.
Absolutely.
But I'm still learning who I am. But the more I learn about me, the more confidence I have.
Yes.
Because the more I understand, like, I was created for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm here. My life is purposeful.
It's purposeful.
And I got to live out this purpose. Like, it wasn't like guys just making people and decide, let me throw a Rashaad in there, just
right.
because. Like, there's a reason I came here. I know I'm going to change the world. I know that.
Yeah.
But it's the confidence and understanding and knowing it and believing it.
Yeah. You are. And you are too.
Thanks.
But here's the thing. When we talked about that whole example of the fish saying, what water?
Oh, yeah.
How do you have to constantly remind yourself,
I agree with that.
right?
Yeah,
Because
you do.
sometimes you forget.
Sometimes you do.
It was the same thing that it just hit me when, and I still hear, Jamal, I'm never going to forget when you kept saying that. When he kept saying that, like,
Yeah.
Candi, you know. Now you know. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the water. I'm in the water. I'm in myself.
Yeah.
So sometimes, even if you say, we talk about self-awareness all day long.
Oh, yeah.
But you can sit and you can be aware of yourself in that moment. But as soon as the phone rings, as soon as the doorbell rings, as soon as you start paying bills, as soon as you start disciplining your children, as soon as you start taking care of responsibilities, you get sucked into this vacuum of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about how you look.
No.
You're not thinking about what you do for a living. I'm not thinking about hypnotherapy and all the people that I've helped
I'm seeing what you're
break
saying.
patterns, negative emotional patterns.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with my own,
it.
I'm practicing how I'm doing hypnotherapy on myself about eating, right? Because, I have these things that I don't like. And so there are things that I'm still improving about myself. You stay in the gym all the time, you work out, and then somebody say, oh, Chris, I see a muscle. You be like, what? Where is it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're so in it. And you look at yourself every day.
Every day.
Next thing you know, you're going to be losing 20, 30, 40 pounds. You're not going to really notice it.
That's true.
It's going to take somebody else to say,
Other people.
Chris,
Other people say, man,
you
calm
look
down,
good.
man. Yep.
So we have to tell each other.
Yeah.
Rashaad, I love that hat.
Yeah.
That's an excellent
It works.
Thank you.
thing.
Thank you.
Because how you gonna know if don't nobody
tell you?
You're gonna say, well, ain't nobody saying nothing about my arm.
Right.
You're right. Check this out.
I love that, though.
That's a
I love
part
that.
of confidence.
Right.
That's a part
It is.
We
It
gotta
is.
tell each other. It's not. It's about reminding you.
Yeah.
Because you might forget. You know, probably forgot you even got the hat on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, yeah. It becomes normal.
Yeah.
Check this out. You said something that sparked a thought. So this past week, I was watching Naked and Afraid. I love to watch that show. I don't know why, but that show
It's
is
interesting.
That show.
Yeah.
So I was watching Naked and Afraid, and the guy passed the challenge, got to the last day, and after they got back to the hotel, he was like, "This is the first time I've seen myself in X amount of days." He was like, "I almost forgotten what I looked like because," and he just said something real casual. He's like, "I can't see myself."
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I'm like, we really can't see. Other people know what our face looks like sometimes more than we do, because unless we're looking in a reflection or a mirror, we can't see ourselves.
No,
so
we can't.
To your point, like
Yeah.
fish in the water, other people notice your reality sometimes more than you do, because you get so comfortable with it that it becomes second nature to you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
You're just doing you.
Yeah.
Just doing you.
You're just doing you and enjoying what you're doing.
Right.
And honestly, it's attractive. Even if people don't tell you, it's something about being in control of your destiny and who you are and having a clear understanding of where you're going, even through your imperfections. You still understand, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. I don't care who likes it. I don't care who likes it or don't like it, really. Because this is what I've been called to do.
Yeah.
So as you guys was talking, I was even thinking about us living in a society where we're trying to be so perfect, but it's almost impossible. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
To be perfect, and we're trying to be perfect in an imperfected world, a world that's full of imperfections. And then we try to do that ourselves. It's almost impossible to do. So you do just have to be you.
Yeah.
And worry about what happens along the way. Now, we try our best to try to do the best that we can do as humans. Try not to make a mistake. But I don't know one human that has not made a mistake along the way in their life. It's almost, and you're still going to make some. Even I'm 52. And sometimes I have to say, all right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now you done went too far. And I think when we learn that, it's going to help us even the more become successful.
Absolutely.
When we figure it out and say, you know what, this is who I am. I can't even deny the fact that I have this issue. And we have to also understand, that's why I don't understand, to both of you guys' point, and I may be going off on a tangent a little bit, going somewhere else with this, but I think all this ties in with the mindset of success. When I think about God, right? When I think about God and how he created us, right? And how we get upset with people so much about their flaws or their imperfections, right? But the crazy things is, even if I don't know your imperfections, even if I don't know your imperfections, and even if I did know, right? Even if I knew your imperfections and you knew my imperfections, let's say this, what society would call your imperfections, right? Why is it that we don't love each other in spite of those imperfections, right? Because God loves us even in spite of the imperfections. If I was a fly on the wall, right? If I was a fly on the wall, the only difference is I didn't get caught or that person didn't get caught. But they may have the same problem you got. You may have the same problem that person got. The only difference is they didn't get caught. But God still loves that individual that got caught. But when we see them in the physical, we're like, oh, no, that's effed up. But that person who's saying that they effed up, they probably got the same daggone problem.
This ties in really well with success.
Yeah,
though.
so I'm trying to figure out,
because we like to bring people down.
We like to bring people down.
We like to bring people down when they're being successful.
Yes.
And then they make a mistake. We like to strip them of that success. So that fits.
Okay.
It does. Let me tell you why it fits too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody, I've heard this several times from several different people, But somebody told me one time, they said, ignore the opinions of people who are not more successful than you are. It was like, because the truth of the matter is, people who are really successful and are confident in their success, they don't spend their time talking about other people and telling other people what they can't do. People who are struggling with their self-worth get a lot out of putting other people down because it makes them feel better. That's why when you find really confident, really successful people, it's a joy to be around them because they're telling you how great they are. And you're like, no, you're the great one. They're like, no, you're great at this and you're this. Because they love to see the great in people. They want to elevate everybody, and they're not intimidated by your success.
No, not at
they
all.
understand, I'm going to be who I'm going to be regardless.
I'm going to be.
But if I can help you be successful, great.
Come on.
Yeah.
And that's why I created this platform. I created this platform to expose people to the greatness of some of the gems and jewels that we have in our community that may not necessarily get that light. Now, I ain't got 1 million people on there. But I got yet. There you go, yet.
That's right.
But there are some people that are watching that can possibly help you, me, get to the next level. All it takes is one.
Right.
That's it. So one of my favorite speakers, E.T. Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Eric Thomas is.
Oh, yeah.
I was following Eric Thomas when nobody knew who he was. Like, because I found his Thank God It's Monday.
Yeah, that bro bad, man.
The series he was doing on YouTube, and I started following him before he blew up. And one thing he said one time, because he blew up off of the Guru story that was on the Guru story where holding the guy underwater. That's the story that blew him up.
Gotcha.
He said, let me tell you how success works. He said, I had to believe I was successful long before I saw the fruits of it. He said, because once I was in the act of doing everything, he was like, nothing was working, it wasn't breaking like I wanted to. He said, somebody found that video on YouTube and it went viral. He said, here's the interesting thing about it. He said that video at that time was at least over a year old. He was like, but I was consistently grinding, and that the preparation met the opportunity, and it blew me up. So it's like, imagine this podcast. Imagine 3 years from now, we're all extremely successful in everybody else's eyes. We're already successful in our eyes.
Right, correct.
And imagine somebody seeing this and putting it out there, and it go viral, and everybody's like, oh my God, who are these people? And we're already in the motion of doing it. And we're like, yo, we did that a couple of years ago.
But hey, thank you.
That seed that was planted, it came to harvest.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, I think me and Jamal might have been talking about it, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tyler, Creator. Are you guys familiar with Tyler, the Creator? Mm-hmm. Creative dude. Just amazing individual. I really like him. I really like Tyler. So he was talking about a actual I think the guy might have been a podcaster. If I'm wrong, guys, forgive me out there that are familiar with Tyler, Creator. But he was talking about a young man that had a podcast or a YouTube channel. Let's say that. He had a YouTube channel. And he said, man, I was watching his channel. He was like, and to his point, he was saying, you never know who's watching. To our point, what we're saying, all it takes is one. Mm-hmm. So he said, I always go and just watch YouTube channels because you never know what's on there. Mm-hmm. And he said, I went, and he's very charismatic. So he's like, I went on his page and I was like, oh my God, this dude only has like 6 views. He only has like 6 subscribers. This dude is freaking amazing, though. How come nobody has said something about this guy? Mm-hmm. But he was constantly watching the dude to watch. I guess maybe if he was being consistent, because professional people and people that are successful look for consistency. Yeah. They don't look for you to change. They want you to continue to be who you are, because that's who I am, right? Yeah. And you are confident in what you're doing. You're not changing anything about what you're doing. Right. This is who I am. I'm going to keep pressing forward. So to make a long story short, he hired that guy and put that guy on. He only had 6 views. So you see what I'm saying? Anything is possible. Kevin Garnett said anything is possible.
It is.
Anything is freaking possible.
It's all about your mindset.
Yeah, and we hear these stories all the time. Remember T.D. Jakes was telling his story about how he did one speech on this large stage. I can't remember. I want to say it was Carlton Pearson's stage at the time. I could be wrong. So guys, listen, if I'm not wrong, y'all don't hold it against me. But I think he said he did a speech, and somebody at TBN or TNN saw him, and that is what put him on. And he talked about how he had holes in his shoes. How he was having some, trouble at the church, basically, I guess, financially. Mm-hmm. And it was that speech that God used to propel him to where he is now. Mm-hmm. So anything is possible. We hear these stories all the time. We think about the owner of Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines. Who knew that somebody with an eighth grade education would be going to space, build rockets and go to space? Who knew that? Mm-hmm. So anything
that's amazing.
It's amazing when I want to say, is it Branson or Branson?
Yeah, Richard Branson.
Thank you, bro. Richard Branson.
Mm-hmm.
8th grade education. You got to be kidding me.
You know what?
But go ahead, bro.
You said something, and to our point, it's about that consistency. So let me tell you, I'll say this. I'm very open. I understand that my number one flaw, in my opinion, in my business, is consistency. Like, I'll be good for 3-4 weeks, and then I'll slack off. Then I'll be good for another 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm going, and then I'll slack off. So that consistency is something I'm trying to work on.
Yeah.
You all both start talking about the universe and astronomy and astrology.
Yeah.
So do you know, I was reading this a while ago, and I was studying. I made a whole speech about it. But a rocket is off, I believe, 96% of the time a rocket is in orbit. It's off course. Mm-hmm. So 96% of the time, it's constantly recalculating to get back on course. Mm-hmm. But it's off course, literally. It may be an inch, it may be 100 feet, but 96% of the time, it's off course.
Yeah.
96% of the time, it's trying to get back on course.
Yeah.
But as long as it reaches its destination, it doesn't matter. Nobody's concerned about that. And it's the same with us. Yeah. That consistency is we fall off and get off course and we get down on ourselves and let our emotions take control. We have to be really robotic when we think about success and just continue to plug away no matter what.
Almost a little autistic with it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Kind of
gotta have a little bit of autism.
Yes.
Absolutely right.
Gotta have a little Rain Man spirit.
You're right.
Yeah. Seriously.
I agree. You have to shut down everything else that's trying to distract you and stop you from getting to where you want to go. It's almost like this war you're having against you. It's you against you. Pretty much. And against the world.
I'm thinking back on what we said. Let's go back. We said desire, confidence, focus, consistency. What else?
Oh, we said a lot. Being authentically yourself.
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Yeah.
That's 5 things that are. We could write a book on that right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
That's just awesome. I'm just thinking of this conversation and the people who are listening and how impactful this is going to be in somebody's life, because we have all of these thoughts. We have so many millions of thoughts that just run through our minds every day. To take those and filter those out and focus on this over a long period of time.
Yeah.
While you're raising kids and getting people out of trouble and getting yourself out of trouble and trying to lose weight, trying to stay alive.
Trying to stay alive. That's right.
Think about everybody that's dying of heart attacks and strokes and all this stuff that's happening, right? And trying to stay out of prison. There are people that are trying to stay out of jail. You go and you get a business. It's time to pay taxes on it. The first thing I think about is I don't want the IRS to come after me. You know what I'm saying? Am I following all of the rules? And it's overwhelming sometimes.
It is.
And there's no support for entrepreneurs. Like, there's not that much support. Now, you can go in a group of other entrepreneurs.
Sure.
But think about the fact that if you're the only entrepreneur in your family, people don't understand the mindset of an entrepreneur. You're by yourself.
You're by yourself. It's a lonely journey.
It's a lonely journey.
Very lonely.
And I think because I came out of high school and did hair and got with Mr. Dudley really early.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a normal mindset.
Sure.
I did not know until my mom would say stuff like, "Candi, what are you going to do? Make up your mind. Stick to something.
Yeah.
What are you spending your money on this time?
Yeah.
You going to another class? You're going to another seminar?
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
those are little things like that. Well, you need to prioritize. You need to pay for this. Your car needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
You don't need to go and spend any more money on this seminar,
Yeah.
you know. And you, as an entrepreneur, you're thinking, I'll get my car fixed after I go to this seminar and get the knowledge. And people aren't thinking that way. And so to me, that's another part of success is surrounding yourself with people who are not going to criticize you when you spend your money on more equipment, you know, more lights or it requires that.
It's just what we said a few minutes ago. You turn into a Rain Man.
Yeah.
You do.
You drive yourself crazy.
Let me ask you
and
this.
you'll go broke. You'll go broke trying to fuel your dream. You know, feel it. But go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this, because you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
How do you navigate personal relationships versus continuing to build your business mindset? And this is why I asked that, because let's say I'm the only one, not the case, but let's say I'm the only one in my family that's an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one in my family that wants more. I'm the only one in my family that's really driving, you know, have a strong enough drive for success that's going to get me above average. Yeah. But let's say your spouse, your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, everyone that you have all these personal relationships don't see it at all, and they actually criticize it.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that and not damage those relationships? Because what I do understand is just like this, us talking, it's important to talk to like-minded people. It's important because they give you encouragement, they give you motivation, but they also give you knowledge, you know, from their journey.
Absolutely.
So how do you navigate those personal relationships that everybody has, every entrepreneur has, and how do you limit the input from everybody else versus protecting the mindset that you have to have?
That's a very, very good question, too. I'll speak personally. Some of the things that I've gone through, I needed to go through. It hurt like hell. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that I went through hurt like hell. Even to talk about it, I can feel that emotion. It hurt like hell to deal with. Not from family members. I can't speak for everybody, but I have a very supportive family. So I can't speak on that part of the family. I have a very supportive family. And I have a very supportive wife. So I can't speak to that. Mm-hmm. But people who you allow to come in your circle that you go through some hurts without divulging of too much information. You go through some hurts. And I think what happens is it's necessary to feel that because it's going to toughen your skin, and it's also going to show you that you in this by yourself. It's going to show you that the vision that you have is a vision that God gave for you. It's not for everybody to understand it, and it's okay if they don't understand it. It's okay if they walk away. It's okay if they're not rocking with you no more. It's really okay. The hard thing to do, the recovery from that, it's almost like a divorce. It's almost like a death. Mm-hmm. Whenever you start your journey with someone in your business and you join in together. And I'm going to speak from experience from that. So if you start off with that journey with someone, and it doesn't go particularly the way you want to go with it, it's almost like a divorce. You literally feel that pain or that void that you're missing that's there, that you almost have become, it's almost become a crutch. And you begin to depend on that person too much. Mm-hmm. But God got a funny way. Sometimes that thing got to be broke that you can become the independent person that you need to be. Because it makes sense to know everything you need to know everything about your business, and you need to know how to do everything in your business in the event that somebody leaves.
Right.
Absolutely.
So at that time, I wasn't prepared. Mm-hmm. So I felt every bit of it. Mm-hmm. I had to purchase things. I had to make a decision on whether or not I was going to go ahead and go into the space. And I made the decision. But it did something for my confidence when I made the decision to say, I'm going to keep going no matter what. I believe what I am doing. I believe that God told me that this is what I'm supposed to do. I don't care if you're with me. I don't care if you don't understand how I'm flowing. I don't understand if you don't understand my grind. I'm up at 4 a.m. every morning. Every morning meditating on how I'm going to do the next thing. But I am very, very clear that it's not me, that it's God that's driving this machine, that it's God that has planted the seed in me to believe and be strategic and understand who comes on the platform, who doesn't come on the platform, because I am being intentional about what my mission and my goal is, which is another thing. You have to be very, very clear on who you want to be and where you want to go. And you got to believe that God said that's what he has for you. So to your point, you have to just kind of block out the BS, block out what you see on the internet. I'm not saying that it's not good advice on the internet, but if it does not line up with the vision that God has for you, then you have to counsel it. You really have to just block it out. And don't get caught up in what you see on social media. Those guys had a blueprint. They had a plan that God gave for them to be successful. Now, I take advice, but I don't take all advice because it may not be what God wants me to do. So I'm very focused on that. I've gone to a few workshops. I even listen to what some people say, but I'm true to Chris.
Right.
I can't be anybody else. I have to be authentically me. So to your point, you got to allow yourself, and I think we alluded to it earlier in the previous show that we had, you got to allow yourself to feel that pain of that entrepreneurship, this thing that's driving us. It's a different world. People don't understand. Man, why you spending all that money on this? Why you keep doing this? Man, you've been doing this 2 years. You ain't making no money yet. I don't care.
I think it's more difficult for men.
You think so, Candi?
Oh, yeah. It's much more. I think
right.
entrepreneurship is much more difficult because it is on you all to be this leader, to provide, to have money, to do something. So if you're spending your money on your business and your woman is like, I thought we was going to take a vacation. And you're like, we can't take a vacation for the next 2 years. If she's not an entrepreneur and she says, you know what, we ain't got to take, if she's an entrepreneur, she'll probably say, we ain't got to take a vacation for the next 5 years.
I agree.
Because she understands the bigger picture.
That's what I was going to say.
So I think that in order to do something like this, you have to have partners that understand it.
That part.
And I know for men, men are used to saying, oh, she's doing her little thing. I'm working here and I'm paying all the bills and I'm doing everything. But she's doing her little thing. She's selling her little Mary Kay or she's doing so. I know women who started out doing their little thing. Nobody bothered them because they didn't think it was going to be anything. So they could spend all the money they wanted on their stuff. And nothing was ever said. And then she was blowing up and was able to retire her husband. And he like, oh, my God, I had no idea. But it was not that much criticism. But I've seen men try to do it. And if they don't get the right partner, it's horrible.
I ain't going to lie, it is.
Because she will talk with to her girlfriends and say, honey, I don't know what in the world Rashaad is trying to do. All I know is we were supposed to go on vacation, and this dude talking about we ain't going to go on no vacation for 2 years. I see y'all at the next girl trip. I am not thinking about him. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So women are not as supportive of a man who, especially... I think if you're young and you're starting out.
Okay.
Ain't nobody got nothing.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But if that man has something and he says, I'm going to give this up and I'm going to do this, then now everybody is under a whole nother conditioning. You condition people to think, okay, well, you're going to get a check next month, so we good. Now you're talking about you ain't going to get no check for the next 6 months to a year. Okay, what we gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And so I think it's just harder for men to switch gears like that.
I think you're right. I think the key thing that you said was having a supportive.
You got to find that
family front.
Yeah.
You know, your wife. You know, if you're a woman, your husband, they have to be supportive of your dream and push you.
Yeah.
And sometimes them pushing you can't be offended at the way that they push you either.
Right.
Especially if you have a good partner.
That's right.
If you have a good partner, then you got to accept them challenging you.
Yeah, come on. I thought we said we was going to do so-and-so. Let's go.
But you need
That's
that,
right.
though. You need that because that's going to keep you on your toes, too. So if you have that supporting cast, somebody there that's standing in the background watching you go, win, it does something to you as a person to say, man, I got my spouse backing me on this. She riding with me on this.
Right.
She okay if we don't take a trip or we don't do this or we don't do that. She okay with it because she understands the big picture. And when they believe in you, when your spouse believes in you, that's a whole nother thing, man.
Right.
You feel like you can take on the world when you got your honey like, hey,
That's right.
nigga, I rock with you. I see what you doing. I'm going to support you. I'm going to push you. Man, then it don't matter what nobody else say.
It really doesn't matter. You're right. That's huge. But let me.
Yeah, but go
this
ahead,
is what sparked me a thought when you said that. When you were saying it doesn't matter what nobody else say. That's so key.
Yeah.
That I've often said, listen, other people's opinions of me is none of my business.
Oh,
It's none of my business.
No.
I remember I said it jokingly, but the more I said it, I was like, no, this shit ain't a joke. I was like, you know what? I want to believe in myself like Kanye believes in Kanye. Now, I don't, but
I
listen.
thought about that too, though.
Listen. Yo,
about Kanye.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I want to believe in myself the way Kanye believes in Kanye, because I don't agree with everything that he says and does, but his mindset is so
got
beautiful.
it.
His confidence is amazing. I'm like, that's a goal for me to get that to that level of confidence.
Hey.
I don't care what nobody in the world says
Man.
about me. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna find out a way to do it. Watch me.
Man, and to see the support of his spouse. I saw this outfit she had on. I was like, that's outrageous.
Yeah, it was his.
But it was his.
Yeah.
but she was standing there like, I'm going to wear it for you,
Right.
baby.
Yes, she was in it like it looked
support you.
good.
And he was walking just as proud.
You know who else has
It's
that
beautiful.
we don't like, and that's Trump. Yeah,
You're
nobody
right.
likes
You're
Trump,
right. You
but
know
Trump
what?
But his
has
confidence-
that whole
His confidence.
thing.
You
he don't
right.
give a darn what nobody says.
He don't
You
care
right.
what nobody
We
says.
might not like
What
it.
nobody
Yeah.
say. That's a success mindset. It
That's
really is.
it really
when you get to the
is.
point where
They're
I'm going
both
to do
Geminis,
X, Y,
by the
and Z.
way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but maybe
I
that's
know
what,
you would know.
maybe that's what it is then.
No.
Yeah, that's beautiful though. Like when you get to the level where you really don't care, because everybody's like, I don't care what nobody thinks. Most people lying. They care what
They
everybody
care.
thinks.
They care.
But when you get to the level where you
Bruh, when
really
you
are
really
not
don't
concerned with the
care.
opinions of others,
Man.
you're single focused on making your goal happen. Because sometimes we get distracted. We hear all this, you can't do that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And it starts to wear you down. At first you're like,
Absolutely.
you act like you're ignoring it. I don't care what nobody say. But that collective momentum of people saying it over and over and over and over again, if you're not careful, it'll
can
hit
get to you.
That's
It'll
why
hit
I'm
you.
protective of what people say. Let me tell you this quick
sir.
story. I'm
Go
protective
ahead.
of what people say, what I let people say around and about me. Like even when it comes, and I told this story, my mom hates it, I tell it. But my baby girl, I remember my baby girl was younger, and my mom was just like, oh my gosh, she's so spoiled rotten. And I was like, Mama, don't say that. What she is? No, she's not. I was like, Mom, Think about what you just said. She's spoiled rotten. I was like, I know how you meant it.
Right.
But that's a negative.
It is.
That's negative words that you're speaking over. Well, Mom. I said, Mama, no, you're not going to say that around my baby. You're not. And my mom was like, what? I'm a grandmother. I know this, Mom, and I love you dearly.
Yeah.
But I can't even allow you, my mama. I love you dearly, but I can't even allow you to speak certain things over her. I'm very conscious of what I allow people to say about me, especially things that I agree with or just don't check. Because those things unchecked, it plays with your mind. So we have to be very careful. Yeah. And that goes with us controlling our environment, controlling who we have around us, controlling what we hear and what we allow ourselves to hear.
Amen on that, bro. You know, sometimes you have to check people because sometimes people want to pull you back to who you were too. That's another thing. You know, if you see people and people say, "Oh man, you've changed." Hell,
absolutely.
I'm going somewhere else. I'm focused on something else. I'm trying to get to another level. I'm sorry you don't understand it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's very valuable what you said. You do have to protect your space. Yeah, you got to protect your mind, protect your energy. However you want to say it, you do want to protect yourself around certain energies that's coming towards you. You want to keep that crap away from you. Mm-hmm. You're right. It's so valuable that you surround yourself. We hear it all the time. Surround yourself around the right people. You know, I love surrounding myself around people who's smarter than me or who I think is smarter than me. Let's say that. You know what I'm saying? It's so very, very important. And the more that I surround myself around people that I esteem to be smarter than me, I find out that I'm just as smart as them.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
And you are.
Maybe even smarter.
Yeah.
And not that you brag about it, but you just sit back and you're like, wow. And also you can see the experience from life sometimes, from your perspective. You're seeing through a different lens. That's where that prefrontal cortex is very mature. That third eye is very open.
That's right.
You know, I was telling my sister.
You've been on it today.
Yeah, you know, when I used to hear Tanya talk a lot about that third eye, I really didn't understand it. And I was sharing with her the other day, not the other day, but in past conversations, I was like, you know, I think my prefrontal, I think it opened. I think I had a vision and actually seen it open, which they call that the God, you know, the God conscious, the God mind here. We see through this area right here. And I really do believe that. I think that something happens, especially when you go into this entrepreneurial space, because I think it's the very thing that God has told us to do from the beginning, to inhabit the earth, to subdue it. You know what I'm saying? To call it, even he showed us through Adam. Call that a tiger. Call that a rabbit. You can name it whatever you want to name it. You can be whoever you want to be. That's all it's saying. And I think sometimes we get caught up so much in the dogma till we really miss the message.
Right.
There was a message in that. You're telling me to subdue the earth, to rule the earth, right? You're telling me that Jesus said he's the King of kings and Lord of lords. He's over all. So that makes me a mini God then, right? I know people are afraid of the God conscience. I know people are. But if God is ruling over us and he's in us, and I'm made in his likeness and his image.
What else you supposed to do?
What else?
I'm supposed to do what he told me to do and subdue the earth. And when you become an entrepreneur, you get it.
You do. Right. Listen, I piss
people. It's a whole nother thinking.
That's right.
When you tap into this entrepreneur space, because I feel like it's a God space.
That's right.
It absolutely is. Listen,
Go ahead, bro.
I piss people off at least once a year. I do it on purpose. At first, I didn't do it on purpose, but I'll put on social media.
Yeah.
Just 4 words. I am a God. And
people don't understand that.
And people go crazy. What? You are not. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And I just stand on that. I am. I'm a God. I am.
And I was so excited when you put that down. Remember?
Yes.
Right? I was like, you sure are.
Yeah. Candi commented on it. Yeah. But people will be like, oh, that's sacrilegious. I was like, no, it's not. I was like, if you think it's sacrilegious, then you don't know your Bible as much as you think you do.
Nah, you don't.
But you are a God. If I was created in his image, for those of you that believe in the Bible, believe in Christianity, if you were created in his image, if he told you, in greater work shall you do, if he told you, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me, like he was showing us the mentality and the mindset the whole time. The Bible says in Psalms, ye are gods. I believe it's Psalms 82:6, if I'm not mistaken.
Come on,
the Bible says ye are gods. So when you believe that you're a God, like you walk differently. Because there's a reverence that comes with the name God. Like man. So if you believe that I am a God, you look at yourself totally different. You have a different level of respect, accountability, and mindset for yourself. It all goes back to success mindset.
And you ain't dealing with a whole lot. You ain't dealing with a whole lot. You kind of I used to wonder why people in when you get into this God space, I like to call it, why sometimes they can appear or seem to be dismissive. It's not that they're being dismissive. It's just that they're not dealing with a whole bunch of small talk.
Right.
They're not dealing with a whole bunch of excuses, and they can become very dismissive. Mm-hmm. So what happens is when God surrounds you around millionaires and billionaires, you see how they move. You see how they talk. A lot of people may not understand Jay-Z. Hey, man, don't take no pictures of me, man. Get out of here with that. I ain't here with that. A lot of people don't understand him being dismissive. Or when LeBron or these cats, they don't answer certain questions and they look at you like, what? Mm-hmm. It's not that they being buttholes. Well, it might be. A lot of millionaires and billionaires, it's an a-hole in front of that. Asshole. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are assholes.
A lot of them are.
I mean, it is, but it comes along with the territory because they're dealing with so much. We may be
they got a lot going on.
A whole lot dealing with, man.
They really do.
We worrying about making sure if you're paying house notes, or we worrying about small things. They worrying about land and
stock market,
everything. And I got this prop. They worrying about buildings.
Listen.
That's so true.
That's true. Just saying, we talking about property overseas that they got to manage. And I mean, so when you really think about it, then you become, and then you understand, and you get it. They're in that space where, man, I ain't got time to deal with that, man.
Absolutely. Let me say two things. One, talking about that mindset, I heard this interview with Byron Allen. This was back when he was buying the Weather Channel. And I listened to this interview.
That dude's a beast, too.
Yes.
He is.
My mentor sent me the interview. He said, listen to this interview.
So quiet.
I listened to it. Let me tell you one thing I took away. I took away a lot. But one thing he said, it changed the way I thought about success. Yeah. He said, when it come to Weather Channel, I had to raise, about $300 million. He was like, I wasn't going to use my own money. I did this. He was like, $300 million is really not a lot of money. And I was like, wait, what the hell did he say?
Right, just the
mindset.
Said
that mindset. He said $300 million is really not a lot of money.
Right.
And I was like, well, shit, I got a broke mindset because that is a whole bunch of money to me. I was like, I got to become better because
I
was like, I'm broke as hell.
I get it, though.
I'm broken.
Really?
But you know what? I get it. I see exactly where you're going with that. And it lets you know where they are. Mm-hmm. They're actually speaking and manifesting that thing. I remember, to your point, I remember T.D. Jakes said that, I heard this story. He was talking about him and Sarita. Well, it might have been just him. He went to go talk to an investor, right? And I think he said he lowballed himself and he asked for maybe like a couple $100,000. And the man looked at him and he said, well, typically we don't even have conversations with people unless they're talking millions. So initially, he should have said, we need about $3.5 million to make this happen. But because he went up under the millions, the guy was like, oh, we don't play around with that.
Right.
We play around with millions. So if you're going to come at me, that means you need to come at me with millions, which tells us that we have to have that same mindset that Byron Allen said. $300 million is not really a lot of money.
Right.
So that means when we get ready to talk to people about sponsorships, what are you thinking? Oh, man, I really was thinking $10 million. I was thinking $10 million to start off with for the first year. That's where I'm looking at. I would like to do that.
But if you think about how much money we waste, then you really realize millions is not that much.
It's not that much.
Because we could have been there had we actually managed what has actually flown through our.
I was going to say that.
But we could have been there. It's not that much.
Yeah. Credit is another thing. You can build wealth off of credit.
That's right.
If you do it right.
That's right.
If you do it
That's
right.
right.
When you see people riding around in nice cars, most of the time,
Business credit.
yeah, you got business credit or you got good credit. You don't have to be envious of them. You just have to work the system that's in place.
Yeah.
And if you work the system and you do it the right way, if you play the game the right way, the game will be good to you. But you just have to play the game the right way, which is something that I had to learn along the way. And I'm still learning how to play this game. But if you play it appropriately, it will be very, very good to you. And people always say, well, this right here, you can't look at. I always tell people, don't look at the dollar amount when you first start out, because I used to do that a lot. And then when I first started over here, and then when I look at where I am at now, my mindset has totally shifted. I'm thinking about something else now.
Right.
I'm thinking about even greater now. I'm very grateful for where I am. Don't get me wrong. But now what happens is when you get to that next level, your mind shifts and says, okay, it's time to do something else now. I'm looking at something else now. I want bigger. If God gave me this and I think this is big, then I want larger. It's another place. It's another level to this. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Something I've heard for a long time, and I remind myself all the time. My mentor reminds me a lot, too.
Yeah.
And I heard the phrase, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Ooh,
and you really think about that. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Yeah.
If you can see how it's going to happen, your dream ain't big enough yet.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly retool because the more you grow, the bigger your dream should get.
Yes.
And I had to check myself because I'm like, my dream don't scare me. Like, I see it looks doable at this point.
Right,
now, 2 years ago it
right.
didn't, but now it looks doable. That means I got to redream. Like I got to raise the bar because it's not scaring me. It's not. I can see how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If I can see how it's going to happen, it's not big enough.
It's not big
I'm playing
enough.
too small.
Yeah, playing too small. To your point, you're absolutely right, and that's the mindset.
Let me ask you all this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. How do you keep? And this is I'm going to give the explanation. How do you continuously keep yourself accountable through successes and failures? Let's say on a weekly basis, because for example, I've had weeks where I can be honest and say, Rashaad, you really didn't do this week. You really didn't. Like you really didn't. Like you didn't live up to half of the expectations that you would have put on somebody else, that you would have put on one of your coaching clients. Like and then it gets cloudy because let's say I put out a good video and I get a great responses and people like, you are doing it, you do. Yeah. But in my mind, I'm nah, I really didn't do this weekend. Like that was 5% of what I should have done. Like,
or they say we need to hear more of this, and then you don't do another one for another 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself accountable? Because the reality is,
that's a good point.
People that you serve usually are going to think more highly of you than. Not to say what they ought to think, but they're going to think very highly of you. However, you should think more highly of yourself.
Absolutely.
Because people above you, they're always like, okay, why aren't you doing more? Why you could be doing this. Yeah. People that aren't doing as much as you will be like, oh, you're doing so much. So how do you keep yourself accountable, accepting the praise, accepting the encouragement, but still measuring yourself to know what you know your expectations are, and what you know your capabilities are?
I just did something on YouTube, and I constantly compete with myself. I constantly try to outdo what I did before. I constantly try to stay on track. With me, I try not to get too... I try not to focus too much on what other people are doing so much, even if it's good. I try not to. I try to support those that I support. Like, I try to listen to a lot of what you're saying because I love what you say, and I try to make sure I put a like on that. But I feel like in putting a like on that, that's encouragement for you. And the same way with Candi, I try to like anybody that I'm with, and every now and again I'll put a like on something, but I just don't want to get too engulfed with what everybody else is doing, because you can get unfocused and then you try to reframe what you're already doing. And you don't have to reframe it. You just have to stick to your guns to what you're doing. It's okay to like what other people are doing, but remember, your biggest competition is you. You want to try to outdo what you did last year or the year before. Constantly trying to just be you and authentically you. Not that you're trying to do anything like anybody else, but I feel like if the vision is what you have and the vision that God has given to you, then I think you should stick to your guns and do that, because it's the very thing that's going to make you successful. It has been probably, and I can only speak from experience, I think I quit doing this 10 times.
Yeah.
Hey, it's normal.
I think I quit doing this 10 times. I think I said I was going to hang it up for 10 times. But what happens is sometimes I think we get, those fears can creep up. I mean, it's part of the human experience. I think it's okay to be fearful, but you can't let fear control you. It's part of our it's part of our emotions. Those are emotions that God gave us. They are supposed to be there. Yeah. It's all about how we deal with the fear, and we don't allow it to, what's the word I want to use? We don't want that fear to attach itself to us or even infiltrate and take over. We have to fight against those emotions. And as difficult as it is, and I'm only speaking because I dealt with fear so many years in my life, being very, very transparent. Fear was probably like the biggest thing that kept me from being as successful as I wanted to be. To your point, it was fear that I allowed to suffocate my destiny or this gift that I had for many years while even operating in it. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Until one day, I don't know, something happens. Something happens once you begin to just keep pressing against the pavement. Eventually something gonna break.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to just go in with that attitude. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do this. I don't care. I'm going to continue to compete with Chris. Chris, you could have did that better. Okay, Chris, you need to pick up a book you need to read so you can use some different terms. I bought a simple book of I bought a book that's made for teenagers, and it has a bunch of collegiate words in it. It's made for teenagers, though. And I was like, well, God, if they made this for teenagers, what? Read, you know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. Right. But what happened was I started using different words. I started challenging myself. And then once I got the feedback from my mother, who's an English teacher, she called me and said, hey, man, I hear you using them words. I love it, man. Keep going.
Good stuff.
I see you. Don't worry about what nobody's saying. You need to hear that.
That's
you
right.
do. You absolutely
just like you
do.
were saying. That's why when you came in, the first thing I love that orange hat. Because you've been doing it. You've been doing it now consistently. Keep it up because it works. It's you. I don't ever, we just did a show not too long ago. I don't want to spill the beans on it, but he's part of the LGBT community. He's an entertainer. He's who he is. And I told him, I said, bro, I love you. At this point in life, I just think we got to stop just being so hard on people, man. Because the last thing I want to do, or the last thing I want anybody else to do, is to take their own life because they don't feel like they're being accepted. Mm-hmm. And I don't think God wants us to take our own lives either. Right? Whether we agree or disagree with whatever anybody is doing, I think the last thing that we want to do is to put people in a situation where they're depressed, where they're down and out, and they kill themselves. Right. That's the last thing I want anybody to do. Why? Because you say you like somebody else? I don't want you to do that. I want you to live and not die. Mm-hmm. And be the best person that you can be. Whether I agree with what you're doing or not, I want to see you be the best you that you can be. And I think once we get to that place in our lives and understand that God gave everybody a free will, whether you agree with it or not, everybody has a free will. It absolutely is a gift from God. So that means God loves us enough to say, even though my son, I don't agree with you hoeing, I don't agree with your homosexuality, I don't agree with your drunkenness, I don't agree that you're a murderer, I don't want you to kill yourself. Now, you're going to have some consequences you're going to have to deal with.
You might kill yourself anyway.
Right, you might kill yourself anyway, Candi. So all I'm saying is we just really have to start showing people love and appreciate them for who they are, the art, the art, the education, the whatever it is that you're doing. We got to learn to celebrate each other as black folks. We got to stop tearing each other down. And I know people.
Definitely.
I know people make their money off of that, and that's fine. I ain't knocking nobody. But for me, I really want to push black folk and what we doing. I love everybody, though. Mm-hmm. But I particularly love us as a people. I'm black. But I love my black skin, and I love my white beard. I love who I am. Mm-hmm. And I think when you get to a place in your life where you start having confidence in you, being okay with who you are, and accepting the fact that this is who I am. God made me beautiful. He made me handsome. He made me smart. He made me intelligent. I'm rich. I'm a millionaire. I'm a billionaire. I'm going straight to the moon. Mm-hmm. Then that's what we're supposed to tell folk.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to tear nobody down.
You're rich.
You're rich.
Thank you.
You're rich, Candi.
You're rich.
I'm rich.
You're
very
Jamal,
rich. Y'all are rich.
You're rich.
I'm wealthy. Generational wealth.
You're wealthy.
Yes. Yes, man.
I'm wealthy.
And I think just on a whole, that whole mindset, it has to be there. Yeah. And all of this that we're talking about encompasses all of that mindset to success. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that the universe pricked your heart to talk about that. Yeah. And I think sometimes we get so deep.
Yeah.
Man, the universe and science is God. Relax.
It is. Right. It absolutely is.
Can you bring it in a little bit?
Right.
All right, let's chill out. All right. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
You
thought about that. Your heart was there. Candi sent me some great stuff. That's why I love this group. I just love what you guys do because it sparks something in me. And I declare, I just think when you get around like-minded people, they bring out the best in you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember T.D. Jakes saying, yeah, I'm successful. I'm a huge T.D. Jakes fan. I've always been a T.D. Jakes fan. I shouldn't say fan, but I like him. Mm-hmm. And I probably like him because he big, he black, and he got a gray beard. And he walk in confidence and boldness.
That's a wise dude.
And he dark skinned, but he's a wise dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He don't care. He get out there and he do his thing. But I remember him saying, a lot of people ask me, how am I successful? And he said something that was so profound to me. He said, it's not that I'm so smart. He said, my team is smart. Mm-hmm. I have people around me that's smarter than me, that show me how to do things that I don't know how to do. And I can't do it, but I rely on them to do it. And he said he was an effective communicator. And that's why he's so successful. Ain't nothing in this cup, y'all, okay? Nothing but some wheatgrass. I'm on this wheatgrass, boy.
Gotcha.
But
you got you on that wheatgrass?
yeah, mama.
Oh, your mama.
Mama got me on that wheatgrass, but I ain't gonna lie. I've been really focused though.
Yeah,
it works.
It does.
It don't taste the greatest, but it works. But yeah, I just think that that mindset, success, and the mindset to be successful is so valuable, Rashaad, and I'm so glad, brother, that you brought that conversation up, and I'm glad, Candi, that you said, "Hey, Chris, Rashaad had a great idea," and that's why I love it, because Candi will send me stuff throughout the week or when she gets a chance, and those things prick your heart, because really I feel like those are the things that God is pricking your heart to say. Mm-hmm. Or do, and you're not doing it. But he'll surround you around people that say, "Oh, I'm going to pull out the best out of you. I'm going to have to surround you around people where you can get the best out of you." And I think that's what happens whenever we get together. It's always awesome. Mm-hmm. It's always awesome. And I always love it because you guys challenge me too. You guys challenge my intellect too. And I love it because what happens is, whenever I'm around you guys, first of all, I'm so I'm humbled by both of you guys going back to graduating from college. It's such an honorable thing that you guys have done to graduate from college. That's the thing that we hear all the time.
It's all right.
But it makes me. And I hear that from everybody that goes to college.
Right. But thank you. Thank you.
But whenever I'm sitting here and I'm speaking with you all, it makes me feel good that I can sit here and have a conversation with two educated black folks. You guys are amazing. Yeah.
Because the military is so applicable.
Oh.
And to speak of jumping out of the plane.
Yeah, the helicopter. It was awesome.
All the kind of things that you are forced to do.
Oh, no. But let me say this, though.
It's amazing.
Let me say that. The reason I'm saying that is I'm not diminishing my value.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Okay.
I have friends that's retired from the military.
Okay, I got you.
And I'm always
Listen, but what I'm saying is that was part of my fear. I would never have these conversations with people who had gone to college because, number one, I graduated from high school at 21, right? And I went to college. I didn't like college. I hated it. I freaking hated it. And I went and did pretty good. But I excelled when I went to the military. That's where life began for me. And that was where a lot of the core values. Now, I made tons of mistakes. Oh, my God, a lot of them. I was a wild dude. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't have my first fight. I didn't have my first physical fight until I went to the military. I didn't really have my first fight until I was in the military. My first real physical fist fight. Nobody ever really bothered me. I wasn't that guy. But when I got to the military, I got into my first fight. And that's when I found out fists hurt. And then when I found out I'm going to hit you back because it hurt.
Yes.
And so that was the beginning of my first fist fights. So when we talk about fear, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm having such a moment with you guys. You guys have no idea, like, where God has really taken me and how he has transformed my life. But I allowed it to happen too, though. You know what I'm saying? I was willing. I wanted to. And so to see this change, to have this conversation with you guys, first of all, it's been amazing. I'm so glad that Candi introduced me to you, Rashaad. I'm so glad you continue to build upon this relationship. And this is what this is about. Building relationships with like-minded people so that we can help each other become better, which is the premise of the show. And, you know, clouds move. The clouds are always moving. They never stop. They come in gray. It's so much like we are as humans. It's so much like we are as humans. Sometimes they're down. Sometimes they're gray. Sometimes they're cloudy. You can't see through them. And then some days they're bright and beautiful and they're moving. So much like the human experience. If we could be more like a cloud and continue to move, we might be all right. Or like the tuna fish. I told you I'm a geek, so I watch a lot of National Geographic. Did you know that a tuna is always constantly moving? And if it stops, it dies.
I don't know why I thought all fish were that way. So
No.
not all fish.
The tuna.
Some fish sleep.
The tuna.
Some fish just
The
sit
tuna is a species of fish that always moves. It never stops.
and it will die.
If you pull it out of the water. And I was watching the fishermen talk about the tuna. That's why it's such a great piece of fish. It's so healthy. That's why it's so good for you. It's always moving.
Never stagnant.
It's never stagnant. It's always moving. When I saw that, I said, oh, my God, we need to be more like a tuna fish.
Always filtering.
Always filtering.
Wow.
Always moving. And when the fisherman said it, he said, you know, when you catch he said, if you catch a tuna, he said, it doesn't die until we put it in the water, until we put it in the boat. Then it dies. It dies immediately. And as soon as they pull it out and put it on the thing, it'll hop around and then it dies. It's dead. And the guy said, a tuna, the fisherman said, did you know a tuna always is moving? That's why they're so hard to catch, because they're always moving. Oh, they never stop moving.
Wow.
And when you think about that, so far as being an entrepreneur and the mindset to be successful, it's true. You have to keep moving forward.
You have to keep moving.
Upward and forward mobility. You cannot stop. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
That's such a lesson in life,
It really is.
in business and everything.
You know what? I love National Geographic too.
I do too, man.
I get inspired by watching animals. I'm like, that motivates
amazing?
me.
Isn't that
Yes,
amazing?
it is.
Yeah.
Very
So,
much
I mean, man, we could go on all day long and have this conversation. That's why I like having folks on that are like-minded.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And we're going to continue to have these conversations. And I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. So as we close out, if you would, Rashaad, tell the folks how they can get in contact with you, how they can follow you, and again, how they can purchase both of your books.
Great, of course. So listen, you can find me. My website is RashaadJohnson.com. That's RashaadJohnson.com. RashaadJohnson.com. You can buy both of my books off of there. Social media, Instagram, I'm at Rashaad IU. That's RashaadIU. YouTube, the same thing, Rashaad IU. Twitter too. I don't use Twitter too much.
Yeah, I don't know.
But and then on Facebook, you can just find me by my name. You know, Rashaad Johnson. I have a business page, but I just use my regular Rashaad Johnson on Facebook. But yeah, follow me. Check it out. But if you forget anything, just remember RashaadJohnson.com. You can find me.
Yeah.
Links to everywhere on that.
And you'll see them with that orange hat on, too.
You will.
Another plug. Check him out with that brim on, with that orange brim on. You'll know it's him. And can't tell the folks how. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, Candi, tell the folks how they can purchase your book and how they can follow you, too, as well.
You can reach me and my book and anything else at IamCandyTJeter.com.
There it is. Yeah, go ahead and give Candi a call. She can help you out. I'm trying to tell you, she can help you out. Whatever you need. So listen, I want to say again, thank you guys, man. Awesome topic on today, a mindset to be successful. Listen, this is the Rose Cloud Podcast. I'm Carl Ross Sr. Make it a great day and keep being great. Peace.